You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
And as always, thank you, Mr. Anthony Haney, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. Hope you all had a great day. Hope the week is going well for you. This is episode 437 of the podcast. We are in March, and the NCAA tournaments for the men and women respectfully are here. We're talking about the women's NCAA tournament. But before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. The NFL mock draft, I've pushed that back temporarily, but I will have that done this week. I guarantee you that. That'll be episodes probably 440, 441, depending. I have to preview Maryland basketball separate video, men's and women's, because we're getting ready for their games. Saturday, the women play, and Friday, the men play. So definitely we're getting ready for that. Sean Spencer, how you doing, sir? No, it's not pre-recorded. You're not dreaming at all. This is live. We are live. And NFL mock draft, probably as the tournaments progress, try to recap each round or preview each round. I'm going to continue to play it by ear because I have an announcement I'll put at the one last thought. So let's get into it, but I cannot do it alone. As you already know, ladies and gentlemen, he is practically a second co-host of this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on Mr. Brenden Potts.
Woo!
Brenden, what's going on, sir? How are you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing good. I'm super excited for this episode. I've been excited for this one since the bracket came out, and as the great Ari Chambers has once said, so far, March is madnessing. So I'm excited to break this bracket down and to talk some NCAA tournament because it's that time of year.
Absolutely. The selection Sunday was this past Sunday. I had the opportunity to be at College Park with the Maryland women's basketball team as we got to find out where they would be playing this year. And Brenden, your overall thoughts of, did the committee get it right?
Yeah, I think for the most part they got it right. I'm kind of a little salty that Portland didn't get in, that the University of Portland didn't get in, and Iowa State did. I think Iowa State is criminally overrated. I don't think they're that good. I feel like they're kind of like the North Carolina of the women's tournament. If you know, you know. But they made it. Congrats to everybody who made it in, and especially those first timers. That's a pretty cool accomplishment. Especially for the smaller schools, of course. Those are the schools that we look at. For Those are the schools that we look at to create the madness in March Madness. I did have one note, and I really wanted to address this. Because there was a little bit of controversy between the coaches of South Carolina and USC of them getting the one seeds, but them not being the in the top two of uh of the one seeds, and so instead, so it for the one seeds, it depends. They're focused about who else is in their bracket, and you know USC and South Carolina are complaining um about the brackets they're in and the teams that they have to face. And I just think that, like, especially, I didn't really watch all of Dawn Staley's press conference or reaction after she found out, but I did watch Lindsay Gottlieb's. And Lindsay, great friend of mine. She supports me in all my work. I love her as a person and as a coach. But cry me a river, like, and I come from it, and I come at this, or I say it from this standpoint. You built a program from damn near the bottom of the barrel of the Pac-12, of a competitive Pac-12. You built it in 3 to 4 years to be a national championship contender now. And granted, most or some of that was the work of Juju Watkins, fantastic player. We'll get into her. We'll get into talking about her in a second. But you built a program to a number one seed, and 2 or 3 years ago, you wouldn't even be complaining about something like this. You'd be dreaming of getting a number one seed. That's your dream. Now you've got it, and that's why I kept saying this reference. Like, that's like being given hundreds of thousands of dollars in whatever contest you just won and demanding for millions. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? And the other part of that, well, I promise we can move on in a second. But the other part of that is, who the hell cares? Just go out and win. And I think they know that, like, that's the point. But you've got you're a top 4 team in the country. It shouldn't matter what side of the bracket you're on. Just go win.
No, I think that's a justifiable vent, most definitely. Take a deep breath for a second. I agree with you.
Yeah.
For me, I thought South Carolina for a little bit. I kind of had some questions on the committee and how did they base the number one seeds, and South Carolina's really only losses were UConn and Texas, and they were both in February, if I remember correctly. Outside of that, I mean, they did beat during the regular season champions twice, and then in the final. So I'm a little confused. I don't know if they base it on that. I'm just confused on the why they had that type of number one seed. I agree with you with Coach Lindsay. I didn't get a chance to interview her when she asked her a question when she was here at College Park when they played the Terrapins, but they just got to go out there and win. And I mean, if you're basing it off of the run, you might have to potentially see Page in the Elite Eight. That's a money match. So I agree. You just got to go out there and win for sure.
And none of this is personal. Like, I love Coach Gottlieb. She's supported me for over a year now, and like, I'm just reacting based on what I saw off of her initial media availability once the bracket was announced, and I just thought it was. I mean, you just heard my thoughts, but like, none of it was personal.
For sure, absolutely. I will say for the most part, I think those that kind of I'm happy for the newer teams like a George Mason, Southern. This is their first taste of NCAA tournament experience, so I was happy to see that. I think it was over 10. I want to say it was 10 Cinderella schools that got in, so it was good to see that for sure. But I mean, other than that, the all 4 1 seeds were fair. LSU in that region, though, I kind of have a question about that one, but because they have San Diego State at number 14, and now Southern, because they won today, because they beat University of California, San Diego, so they play UCLA. That should be interesting. That Spokane Region 1 is kind of it's not a bloodbath, but I think there could be some upsets in that. Would you agree? Uh-oh. I think I may have lost Brenden there. Chat, can you hear me? Just put a comment in there if you can hear me. As we are waiting for him to come back on. Also to Maryland, while the shameless plug here, Maryland is a fourth seed, and we have to go up against Norfolk State. That should be interesting. Most of us thought that it was going to be a 5th seed, and they were more likely going to be starting their road to the championship on the road. But in fairness, we've dealt with a lot. Bree McDaniel with her injury, Shai got hurt. Taylor Poffenberger wasn't there for a hot minute. She was out, for a couple games. She was out with injury. So they get to go up against Diamond Johnson and the Norfolk State Spartans. That should be a good matchup. And Brenden, welcome back.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No, it's all good. But before we lost you there for a second, we were talking about the Cinderella schools, and we brought up, the Southern of the world, the Norfolk State, those schools. Would you agree that those were winners for sure?
Yeah, for sure. And I'd also like to, even though they're not necessarily a Cinderella school, we see them basically every year. Shout out to Florida Gulf Coast. Lost their coach in the middle of the year, and they still got into the tournament. Got a bad matchup with Oklahoma, which I don't understand. Why is WSU the only good matchup for Florida Gulf Coast the last 3 years? And every year that I want to pick Florida Gulf Coast, they just get a bad matchup. I don't understand it. But no, shout out to them. Also shout out to Utah because they fall into that same category. Lose your coach in the middle of the year. Still get a good seed in the tournament. So yeah, shout out to those schools.
Also, got to give a shout out to Grand Canyon University. They won 30 games this year, and I know Bree Mullings came from I think it was it Utah State transfer, so they deserve to make it. So I mean, Arkansas, George Mason, Maryland saw them in the Navy Classic tournament, so they're definitely building something there. The Ivy League, Harvard as a 10th seed. I think Harmy Turner.
I love that they got 3 teams in the tournament, man.
Yep,
I love that.
Yeah, Columbia, and then Princeton. Unfortunately, they lost this evening to Iowa State, and led by Audie Crooks, but was still one good season for them.
So. Go Lions! If you know, you know. Go Lions! If you know, you know.
I will say the one thing: the Notre Dame, they went from being projected as a number 1 seed, and then a 3 seed. Would you?
In 2 weeks.
And it's going to be in the Birmingham 3 bracket.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know. And then was it Ole Miss? They're the 5th seed. But I don't hate that for them. Sure, it would have been nice if they gotten Birmingham for sure, but I don't think it would work in the Spokane region. They got, who is it? Let me see. Ball State. They can get to the Sweet 16, in my opinion.
That means I'll get to see Coach Yo. Hey, shout out to the teams who are in the Spokane region. I'm going to be watching some really good basketball in a couple of weeks.
I also noticed that with the seedings, the Big 12 kind of got a little bit of love this year. How did you feel about that?
Big 12, like as many teams as getting in?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that as well. They got they got Baylor, and obviously, yeah. They got Kansas State. Kansas State's interesting. That next matchup, assuming they win their first game against that potential matchup against Kentucky, is going to be very interesting. I teetered back and forth a lot in that one, and that game is a big one for me because that's one of my upsets in the Sweet 16. But yeah, I like it. I like the Big 12 this year.
But you have Fairfield.
No. We'll get to that when we kind of go through our picks and everything. But that winner of Kansas State and Kentucky, I have doing an upset later on. But yeah, the Big 12 got a lot of love this year. I'm not quite sure about Oklahoma State. But yeah, I really like the Big 12 this year. I think Utah kind of got screwed with potentially playing South Carolina in the next round. But yeah, I overall I like the love from the Big 12.
Agreed. When you look at the regions, I'd say out of all the regions, the ones I'm going to be paying attention to the most is obviously that Spokane region with, UCLA, Baylor, LSU, Florida State, NC State, and Michigan State. That's definitely my sleeper bracket because you got Harmony Turner, Sanaya Rivers, Lauren Betts, obviously, Anissa Morrow, Tanaya Letson.
Yeah, Tanaya Letson, yeah.
Though that's a region I would not sleep on, ladies and gentlemen. Most definitely.
Yeah, for sure. God, I'm so excited for that Sweet 16. Man, yeah, I really like that region too. I don't have quite as many upsets as maybe you do. I do caution everyone picking that Michigan State Harvard one. That's another one where I'm teetering back and forth because everyone's gonna think, oh, Ivy League, and I say it every year, men's or women's bracket. Watch out for the Ivy League. Trust me, I know this. The Harvard pick is going to be very, very tempting. Okay, but Michigan State is very, very, very good, and they are very underrated. And 7th seed, I don't know. Maybe they had some issues early in the season that caused them to fall that far. Lindsey Gottlieb called them a second week team when they played against Michigan State, the game that I covered.
Okay.
So I just caution you can pick Harvard if you want, and I totally understand that. It's very tempting though, but I think I'm gonna roll with Michigan State.
Beating Harvard?
Yeah, I think so. Even though I really want Harmony Turner to go to the Sweet 16.
I could see that. I could see that. Because I'm pulling for Harmony Turner. She's actually one of my sleepers as featured as if I become WNBA draft for sure. I'm gonna be honest. This tournament this year could have a lot of upsets. You've got example, South Carolina is in the same region with Maryland and North Carolina, as an example. Texas is looking to make its first Final Four since 2004. It's like there's a lot of stories here, but there's definitely some upsets for sure.
North Carolina, North Carolina is dangerous too.
Yeah, let's pull up that bracket. So let's give our Brandon's going to share his screen today, ladies and gentlemen. For me, I'm going to pay attention more to the. I hate to say it, but the region the most is that Birmingham Region 2. You Duke, Vanderbilt, West Virginia, and then whoever the winner of Columbia and Washington is. Do not sleep on that Alabama Green Bay game. That's definitely a sleeper for sure. Don't sleep on that. So we're going to start with in the Spokane one, Brenden.
Okay.
All right. So you give me your. Yep, I can see it. So we got number 1 UCLA versus now number 16 Southern U, because they beat the University of California, San Diego today. Yep. So I'm going to give the edge to UCLA on that.
UCLA. One. No 16 seed. Come on, guys. Stop it. Stop. Advance all your ones. Come on.
And shout out to Southern University. They had a great season this year in the SWAC. It just Lauren Betts, they were given number 1 seed for a reason. I mean, but I can't see that. I mean, this is the year. Can they get to the Final Four? I mean, the furthest they've gotten to the Final Four was 2018, and they've never played the final weekend. They did lose last 2 games, both to USC, but they did get their revenge in the Big Ten championship. So we'll see how they look. The Bruins will look. We got the Richmond Spiders versus Georgia Tech.
I took Georgia Tech just because their defense really came. Or I saw them in person at the ACC tournament, and their defense really came to play in the closing quarter against their win against Virginia Tech. And they got a really good team, so I'm gonna roll with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Same, I'm gonna roll with Georgia Tech. Richmond they've had a good season too, but I like Georgia Tech for sure in this one.
Yeah,
we've got Ole Miss as a 5th seed versus Ball State. I'm definitely going to roll with Coach Yo and Ole Miss Coach on this one.
Ole Miss.
We've got Baylor and Grand Canyon. I'm not going to lie, Brenden. This right here could be a potential upset.
Oh boy! In Waco too.
I don't know. I think we might have our first upset right there. I could be wrong.
I went with Baylor. I went with Baylor. I really like the year that Aaronette Vonleh is having. So and Nikki Collian, their coach. I really like Baylor, at least in one round. I mentioned earlier that I was teetering between Ole Miss and Baylor, so I kind of gave that away. But I do like Baylor to go into the next round.
I'm gonna roll with Baylor, but I just think this season that Grand Canyon had to win 30 games. This is definitely a team I wouldn't sleep on, because at one point I think they actually had Maryland playing them, and then that changed. Because they had us actually playing for the Gulf Coast too at one point. So we have Florida State versus George Mason. Oh, man. Shout out to Nick Andre for keeping the best damn W show. Oh man, he's like, I'm a roll of Florida State, man.
Yeah, I like Florida State here too. Tanaya Watson, she's a bucket, man. Leading scorer in the nation.
Go get her.
So yeah, I'm gonna roll with Florida State.
We have LSU's the third seed versus San Diego State.
LSU.
I mean, LSU. I mean that's a no-brainer. I mean, no disrespect. I just think that
is Flage
I think their
playing?
road. We'll find out tomorrow, Friday at the latest.
Okay. I mean, I'm taking them round one either way, but yeah, LSU.
Yeah, I mean San Diego State. I mean they had a great season. They won 25 games. No, this is definitely gonna be a warm-up matchup for them, for LSU.
Yeah.
And then we have Michigan State and Harvard. I'm going to roll with Harvard on this one.
Yeah, I understand that, and like I said earlier, like it's tempting. It's so tempting, but Michigan State's been a very, very good team. I've been teetering back and forth on this one too. As much as I mean, obviously not as much, but people are talking about Harmony Turner and the season she's having. Great season, by the way. But people are gonna forget about Grace Van Sluten, and I forgot about Van Sluten when I watched them play USC. Like I forgot she was on the roster, and so I am really taking in Lindsay's words into consideration. Like this team, this Michigan State team, can really be a second weekend team, and that's what she said. And I'm taking Michigan State just because of those things.
No, I agree. I mean, as somebody who's an opponent in the Big Ten, and seeing the game and seeing how at times their defense can be something, and Grace and she can shoot the ball, no doubt about it. I'm just looking at a Crimson defense that allows the second fewest points in the country, and I just think Harmony Turner is the point guard of that defense. So that's going to be interesting to see for sure.
I'm glad you brought up the defense because Michigan State, we'll talk about them when we go up to USC because I have a couple of notes on them. But Michigan State pressures a lot too. When they absolutely need to, they're very good at pressuring the point guard and getting the ball out of the star player's hands. So if they're able to do that with Harmony Turner, then it's going to be interesting how Harvard responds. But yeah, I just think Michigan State is too good of an overall team to lose in the first round.
Oh, agreed. I definitely agree. Yeah. We're going to go to the Wolfpack versus Vermont. I'm going to roll with the Wolfpack on this one. I think they've had a good year. In the ACC, Coach of the Year, Wes Moore. They won 26 games, and they were tied for first place in the ACC with Notre Dame. So, and they did win the last 15 games. Damn, that's impressive. But their defense is not the same as it was last year. They did lose some graduates, but I still think with the transfers, you still have Madison Hayes, Sanaya Rivers, Isaiah James, and those girls. The Wolfpack, I think, can make some things shake.
Yeah, I agree. We'll get to where I have the Wolfpack at the end of the day, in my bracket. But I definitely have them beating NC State or beating Vermont in the first round.
I'm gonna let you take the helm on the USC, and University of North Carolina Greensboro.
Yeah, I have USC winning this game. Should be a pretty easy match for USC. I mean, overall, we don't even have to go through the rest of the ones. I have my ones advancing past the first round. So yeah, that it's pretty plain and simple. I got USC winning that game. Shouldn't be a problem.
They got Mississippi State and California. Ooh, that could be actually a potential good matchup right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna roll with Miss. I'm gonna roll with
Oh, you're
Mississippi
going with
State on that one.
Mississippi State? Okay. I like that. I like that pick. But damn, dude, I love Cremealy from Cal. I love Cremealy. I think she's just a rock star. She's been a rock star uh, ever since she was a freshman. I remember her playing against her at WSU. She was always kicking our ass. Thank God she's not in the Pac-12 anymore. But yeah, Cremealy's a rock star. Jada Curry, local legend from Washington. So yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Cal Bears, but I don't hate that Mississippi State pick.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I think that kind of hurt them as a 9th seed is how they finished this year in the SEC. For sure, Mississippi State, but it's that's a game I'd circle.
Yeah,
I'd watch because that could definitely be an upset for sure. Kansas State, I think everything goes as far as Ayoka Lee takes them. It all depends on her availability. They said she's working her way back, so if she can return, I think I can see them as going as far as Sweet 16.
yeah,
for sure.
I could see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that, and we'll get into this later. But I've kind of teetered with I'm kind of giving away my next pick here, but I'm kind of teetering with picking Kansas State and Kentucky to go to the Sweet 16. But Kansas State, Ayoka Lee, yeah, all I saw was that she was back and she was playing in their don't forget about Serena Sendell though. She's been a rock star as well, especially out. So she'll be another key factor for a potential tournament run. I don't think it's gonna all fall necessarily on Ayoka Lee, just because they have Sendell as another scorer. But yeah, Ayoka Lee definitely does help.
We're going to go to Kentucky, the Wildcats, led by none other than you, Kenny. That's who, Coach Brooks. And they lead them to their first. Back in 2023, had Virginia Tech to their Final Four, which doesn't feel like it was 2023. But
Yeah.
Georgia Moore and Sierra Slack came with him when he took the job there. They finished 4th in the SEC. They did win 22 games, but I think defensively, I think they are the best team in this matchup. Kentucky's a team I wouldn't sleep on as well, but I'm liking Kentucky here. They're going to be against Liberty as a 13th seed. Liberty, the Flames, they won 26 games this year. I mean, they hadn't been to the NCAA tournament in a minute, but the last time that happened was, I can't remember what time I had, but 2020. But this year is the first time they have a chance to do something. They did lose last year, remember correctly, it was at Middle Tennessee to get to the tournament painfully. But this is actually the first year. No, they have 4 of their 5 stars. I think that's coming back for sure. I did look up a little bit of some stuff before we came on here, and they're shooting. I think they're the best 3-point shooting team. Picking but I'm gonna roll with Kentucky on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Kentucky. I already gave my pick away. Just basically everything you said. Georgia Moore has been a rock star. Kenny Brooks, I can't believe he went from one university, brought 2 of his star players with him, and got in a position again to make a run in the tournament. That's just I think that's crazy, especially especially in a different and like much tougher conference.
Yep.
But I think that's just plain crazy. But yeah, I'm rolling with the Wildcats in the first round.
We got those Iowa Hawkeyes versus Murray State. Oh, that should be a good one. But I'm gonna go with Iowa. I like Murray State in this one as an 11 seed. They did win 25 games, but they did beat Belmont to win the conference, but the MVC tournament. So that's the second time since 2008 they've
The
made
Missouri
the
Valley.
NCAA.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Since 2008
Yeah.
they've now gone to the NCAA tournament. So congratulations to them. And hey, this is a team I wouldn't sleep on, but definitely Iowa is still a school that you still should respect. You still got Hannah Sulky, and again, I know, Caitlin's not there, but definitely I'm rolling with Iowa on that one.
No, dude. Okay, listen. This is okay. So first of all, I'm gonna get this out of the way. I'm picking the Hawkeyes. Come on now. But there's certain players in college basketball. You see it in men's college basketball. You see it in women's college basketball. That once the calendar hits March, whether they're still in regular season or in the tournaments, where they just turn it the F up. They turn it to that next gear and they just go ballistic and their team greatly benefits. And I feel like that is what's going to happen with Iowa and Lucy Olson. She has already shown flashes of her team turning it up in March turning it up for her team in March. And I feel like she's about to go on a memorable run in this tournament. At least she has the potential to.
Let's not sleep on Sydney Oftler either, because her and Hannah as a front court, I definitely think those two, with their experience, I definitely think can get the Hawkeyes into a deep run for sure.
I know it's a different era, but how dare you call the Iowa Hawkeyes a sleeper after they just made the national championship?
When I say sleep, I mean, okay, sleeper in terms of, I'd say peak is Elite Eight.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just funny. It's just funny how last year they made the national championship and this year we're calling them the sleeper.
Yeah, for sure. They have what is this? Oklahoma State.
No, it's Oklahoma.
Oklahoma,
Sooners.
my bad. I looked at the wrong teams. Thank you.
No,
Oklahoma versus Florida Gulf Coast. Ooh. That's a 14th seed.
Florida Gulf Coast got screwed. They got screwed once again.
Damn. That's pretty bad.
Got screwed once again.
And this is another team that won 30 games too. Because Carl Smith is now with the Atlanta Dream. Coach Lyles, she took over as the head coach. And they won the A-Sun tournament.
Yep.
That's the eighth year in a row.
Yeah.
So congratulations to them. So they finished 18 in their regular season league play. So who was the guard? She got player of the year. Amani Jefferson.
Yeah.
Got player of the year. So, and Coach Lyles got coach of the year. So, and to get a 14 seed, I think that's a joke. I'm sorry.
They got screwed.
Oklahoma Sooners, though, as a 3 seed, I'll let you go first. Who are you picking?
Sadly, I'm picking Oklahoma, and sadly because I love Florida Gulf Coast. But yeah, man, would I be happy to see Florida Gulf Coast win this game? Absolutely. Because I love them as a team and I love the story, especially with Carl Smesco getting or leaving and then still making the tournament and going on a big run, to end the season. Would I love to see them beat Oklahoma? Absolutely, but Oklahoma is just so good. I saw them early in the early in the season, and they went toe to toe with a team like Duke. And
Yes.
And Duke, like, granted, like both teams progressed through the season, but to go toe to toe with the eventual champions of the ACC, and then to play against the competition that is the SEC and only lose 7 games, is pretty impressive for
That is
Oklahoma.
impressive.
Reagan Beards and people are gonna forget about Peyton Verhulst. The attention's gonna be on Reagan Beards, but don't forget about Peyton Verhulst. She's a solid 2 guard. But
For sure.
yeah, I got Oklahoma.
Yeah. I'm gonna roll with Oklahoma on that one too. I just something about Reagan Bears. I think who's also a potential who is a up and coming WNBA prospect as well. I mean, last year, where were they tied last year with Kentucky? And then they have a deep bench. And they won the last 9 or 11 games. I mean, they did lose to South Carolina SEC tournament, but outside of that, I'm going with the Sooners for sure. And then and then the Oklahoma State, South Dakota State. Now this actually might be. I'm gonna circle this game as a game to watch for sure.
Yeah. I'm interested. Okay, who are you gonna take? Because I'm literally back and forth on this game, man. This might take me up till Friday at like 8:00 in the morning to pick this game.
They won 25 games, Oklahoma State. I mean, they went head to head with Kansas State. Give me Oklahoma State.
Okay, yeah, that's who I picked too. But I'm back and forth on this one, man. 6.5 point spread is crazy.
That's what it is.
6.5 points is crazy.
That's crazy.
Whoa, that's tempting.
I know. Shout out to Reba. She actually might put money on that game.
I might actually put money on that game, dude.
And then on this last matchup, I'll just let you go ahead and take away with that.
UConn.
And then we're going to go. Let's go over to the next one. We're in Birmingham. Was that 2? That's with South Carolina.
Birmingham 2. Yeah.
Yep. This might be so fellas, are we pulling trigger? We pulling the trigger over. I think it's a little too early, Anthony. I think it is a little too early because just within like the first round, there's potential upsets.
What was the question? Sorry, I missed it.
He was saying, are we pulling the trigger and projecting a way too early Final Four?
I mean, I got my Final Four. I've had my Final Four since before the bracket came out.
I'm not surprised. But anywho, I'm gonna roll with South Carolina because I think South Carolina especially. I think I don't think there's any pressure on them to win. I think they know what it takes. I mean, you have Malaysia, you have Tahina, you have Tessa, Bree Hall, and Raven Johnson, who last year played a role in them winning the championship last year. And I don't think you have to have – I think you kind of have to worry about everybody and defensively. And defensively, they will game plan for you. So I'm going to pick them over Tennessee Tech as a 16th seed. So South Carolina over Tennessee Tech.
Yep. Yeah. Advance your ones, fellas. Advance your ones. I got
TCU.
I think it's Utah and Indiana, right? The next one.
No, he was asking a question. Is Carson Beck's ex-girlfriend? Is that the one she plays with still in Florida or TCU? One of them plays with Haley Van Lith.
Florida. No,
Okay.
they both play for Miami.
Miami. That's
One
what
of
it
them
was.
one of them was on TCU for 2 seconds. And
Okay.
then she and then she pulled out and said, "I want to go to." She left and decided to
Decided
go
to
to
stay.
to go to
Okay.
Miami. Yeah.
No, Miami is not in the tournament this year.
No, they
No.
played horrible. They didn't even make the ACC tournament, which kind of sucked for me because I wanted to talk to the Cavender twins, but I didn't know that was a conference where they only took a certain number of teams.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
They
I
do.
found that out the hard way.
Yes.
It's whatever. I'm not bitter about it. But next game, I think we got Utah and Indiana. I really like Utah. Gianna Neepkins has always been one of my favorite players in the
Yes.
Pac-12, and I'm so glad that she's doing well for this team, especially after her long recovery.
Hmm.
Gianna Neepkins, Johanna Tedder, Frida Foreman, who both play for Colorado. Um, I'm trying. Oh, Avery Howell's another one for USC. They're
Yep.
all just straight up shooters, and they're like the pure definition of a shooting guard, and um, they'll basically always hit their open shots whenever they get them from their point guard or whatever double teams they get in the post. Gianna Deepkins is as solid of a shooter as ever. Um, so I like Utah. Shout out to them for losing Coach Wynn Roberts in the middle of the season and getting a number 8 seed. Um, and I do have them going into the next round of the tournament
Oh, okay.
and beating Indiana. Yeah.
The Tar Heels are coming to take
Hey
the ladies
man,
tournament.
we'll get to this later, but I think the Tar Heels are very underrated. I think the Tar Heels are very underrated.
I will concede that I actually have to agree with that as well. For me, because correct me if I'm wrong, Brendan, Utah is now in the Big 12,
Yeah,
and this year they won 22 games.
yeah.
And then you got Indiana.
All
Well,
eight
I'm not gonna
games
lie.
are
I
good this
mean,
year, man.
but they're not the best offensive
Sorry,
rebounding team.
I'm moving the screen to go.
That's the only thing I'm not sold on with Indiana. They're not the best rebounding team offensively. Because
Yeah,
because us playing them too. Ugh. I mean, don't get me your Yarden Garzone, man. She could shoot the ball. She could shoot the hell out of that three.
go.
Because she actually had a chance to break the scoring record against us against Maryland, and she was actually 1-3 from actually surpassing it, and that didn't happen. As
Oh
we beat
wow.
them on their senior night, yes. Yeah, they didn't do too well in the Big Ten though. They won only 10 games and lost 8. So I'm going to roll with Utah on this one.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Utah. Who do you got in the Alabama one?
Yes. Okay. So we got the number 5 Alabama and the number 12 Green Bay. Now Green Bay is a little familiar because if I remember correctly, Maryland played them in the Cancun Challenge last season, and that was interesting. But Alabama, this is their 3rd NCAA tournament appearance because that hasn't happened since the 90s, I want to say, because they for almost 19, 20 straight years, they didn't even make the tournament. Now they did make they made the NITs in 22. They did get this is it was their 4th straight winning season. Shout out to Coach Curry. I mean, they got a good senior group. Alabama, I can't sleep on that either. Green Bay. I'm wondering with Alabama.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Alabama too. It's something I wouldn't discount at all. When considering this game, the NCAA tournament is all about riding the hot hand, right? Is
That's true.
if you're on a hot streak, you're in a pretty good spot to continue that into this NCAA tournament. Green Bay's won 22 games in a row. I'm just
Yes,
I'm just putting that out there that they've
and
won.
also their tournament too, which is the Horizon League, I think it is.
Yeah. They did get blown out against Kansas State, but again, like that's Kansas State. Um, they did play close with Virginia. Um, they did beat Drake. They lost to Clemson, but they're on a 22 game winning streak, and that means something when it comes to the NCAA tournament. So I just want to put that out there.
Yep.
I'm not
I'm
I'm not
actually
gonna pick this next game. I'm not gonna
no,
pick this next game.
no, it's okay. Now I want to hear. I'm not going to run off. I want to hear. I want to hear your pick.
I got Maryland.
Okay.
I'm not gonna scare you too much.
Okay. Now shout out to Diamond Johnson and the Spartans. They and the MEAC too. They just won. They won their third. They got actually to their third straight tournament there. Only lost once since Diamond got there. I mean, Coach Vickers got them to their first 30-win season in the Division One area. That is impressive. Now that to me is a definition of Coach of the Year, in my opinion. No matter how you slice it, for sure. Now beating Missouri and Auburn, they did lose to Alabama, ironically, and Washington State. But they're actually, I want to say they're on a 19-game win streak. That's the second longest for a MEAC school so far. Was a 13th seed. A lot of people are picking them to beat us. I don't know why. Maybe everyone just has the fears of last year, and there shouldn't be fears. I mean, yes, did we have a chance to beat Iowa State? Yes, and that's okay. That was then, and this is now. But I still think, to us, we're being a scoring offense. I still think a backcourt led by Shai Sellers and Kayleen Smichael, that's something you need to put some respect on. And I think, especially after a disappointing early exit of the Big Ten tournament, I think that's definitely got that's our second worst loss of the year so far. I definitely think Maryland, I think, is motivated for sure. And to earn this fourth seed the way that they did with the loss of Bree McDaniel for the season, Shai got hurt, Sailor Poffenbarger was out for a few games. So, Maryland, I'm going to roll with Maryland on that one for sure.
Okay, I like that.
I'm
like
going
that.
on a spiel on my soapbox.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
This next matchup is West Virginia versus the winner of Columbia versus Kelsey Plum's alma mater that beat us, Washington. I'm actually going to, we won't really know, but if you had to pick as an 11th seed to face West Virginia, who would you take?
Columbia. Go Lions. Columbia.
This year, actually prior to this season, they actually have never been to an NCAA tournament. This is now the second year in a row.
Yeah, shout out to Megan Griffith, man.
Yep. And they actually 2 years ago they did get to the NIT finals, and then last year lost to Vanderbilt in the first four. So that's definitely something to watch for sure. Washington, shout out to Coach Langley, Tina Langley,
Yay.
assistant.
Shout out to them.
Former University of Maryland assistant under Coach Freeze. She has the ladies out there balling. Sylvia Sellers, average almost 15 points a game. Ella Layden is another player to worry about. They can definitely shoot the ball because they were actually top 10 scorers in the Big Ten as a whole. So Coach Langley will rely on her starters. That's the only thing I kind of worry about because their bench will show, and it's not really the best bench because I think they were ranked low, if I remember correctly, throughout the entire D1. So that's going to be interesting to see, but I'm actually going to roll with Washington.
Okay. I'm rolling with Columbia to beat Washington. In all seriousness, I really like them as a team. You know what? Okay. I'll agree with you on this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the winner of that game beats West Virginia. I think if Washington wins, they'll beat West Virginia, and I think Columbia, if they win, they'll beat West Virginia. And for West Virginia is a tough team, but I that's my upset, or that's one of my upsets.
You're picking someone to beat the Big 12's top defensive team?
Yeah, I am, because I like Columbia, and they may not get it done if Columbia wins that game. But Washington, I saw them play USC in person. Sadly, I didn't cover that game, but they played USC tough down to the last couple of minutes, and they took Juju. They made it a point to take Juju out of that game and let the others beat them. So, UW's a tough team, no matter how much I hate their guts. But I think they could surprise some teams in this tournament for sure. Which kind of sucks because they kind of got screwed in this bracket if they want to surprise some teams.
West Virginia?
No, Washington.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
But I gotta play the clip for you right here. Our next matchup is I'll let you take the floor on this one because if I say who I'm going to say, I'm going to get jumped by a certain individual. I already put him on the screen right there. The North Carolina Tar Heels versus Oregon State. Who you got?
Yeah, I got the Heels. Coach Banghart, like, great name by the way. Coach Banghart, like, what an amazing job she's done. She'll get I feel like they've been in North Carolina for the basically a month, and I actually asked her about that in one of their, or after one of their tournament games. But yeah, that's a very solid team. And I think they're a 3 seed, but I feel like they should be higher. I'm obviously not giving them the 2 seed in that region because of Duke, which I feel like Duke did deserve that 2 seed. But yeah, North Carolina is a very dangerous team that could make a run to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. They could very much go on a run. So I definitely have them beating Oregon State. But I do want to give a shout out, huge freaking shout out to Oregon State, because nobody, and I mean nobody, picked them to win the WCC, and me included. I thought Gonzaga was going to win that conference.
Is this their first conference championship?
Yes, it is. And they you know what? I have a couple of members of my family are big Oregon State fans, and they were I had spoken to them back when WSU won the Pac-12 a couple of years ago, and I said this is how I felt. This is kind of how I this kind of reminds me of that of that moment when WSU won the Pac-12. Nobody picked them. Nobody thought they were going to win. Nobody thought Oregon State was going to win, especially when Oregon State just didn't. They went on like a 4-game losing streak in the WCC, and that's like painful to do. But they just kept going at it. Scott Rueck, coach for the Beavers, I think he's one of the best coaches in the nation because he lost 4 out of 5 of his starters from last year who went to that team went to the Elite Eight and lost to South Carolina, lost 4 of their 5 starters to the transfer portal, and still made it to the NCAA tournament. In fact, won their conference.
Yeah, then they start off like 1-5, 1-6, and then was like 9-13.
Yeah.
In January.
Yeah, and they buckled down. They got the job done, and they beat a Gonzaga. They beat a Portland. Those are tough teams. I think the WCC is very underrated, and I'm sad that only one team got in because I think that's a very underrated conference. And I'm not even speaking with bias here. I think the WCC is very underrated. So shout out to Oregon State for getting in the tournament, but unfortunately, I got to roll with North Carolina.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Tar Heels on that one too. I know Sean Spencer. He's a North Carolinian at heart. So I know I want to make sure we're respectful of the Tar Heels because one of the programs should have made the tournament, and that was the women, because the men don't have one win in quadrant 1 is nasty work. But that's on the subject for another video.
Sean, don't cry too hard when Oregon State wins, though.
The Commodores versus the Duckies. I'm gonna roll
one for me too.
I mean, but okay. Oregon, led by Deja Kelly. Again, watching them play us Maryland playing them. Still gotta. Coach Graves basically took over that program. 4 new starters. You bringing in Deja Kelly. I think is a good point guard. You have Peyton Scott. Those two. I think those to me is the defense because they are not a good team defensively, and that kind of showed this year, especially in Big Ten play. The Commodores, I think, are a good team. I like them. This is actually the first time in almost a decade where they didn't make the NCAA tournament. So they actually, ironically, were tied for 8th. My last other things for the SEC with Tennessee. So Michaela Blake's almost 23 points a game. She scored. Did she have like 2 50-piece games this year? And
she had a 52-point game and then said, "No, that's not good enough. Let's go for 55."
That's what I got. Remember the first one.
No, that's not. 52 is not good enough, guys. 52 won't cut it.
And got freshman of the year. So
freshman, not player, freshman. 52, 55. 52 is not good enough for a freshman, guys.
And then because Coach Ralph, this is their back-to-back 20-win season. The last time that happened was 2011, 2012 season for them. So I'm gonna roll with the Commodores on that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have the I started out initially picking the Ducks because I like that upset. I think since then I switched to Vanderbilt, and I just went on this mini spiel of praising Michaela Blake. Yeah, I did pick the Commodores. I'm just looking at my bracket right now. You can't go wrong with 2 50-point games, and I know that's the past, but Michaela Blake's is the future. So, and I just played that sentence so well. But yeah, I'm rolling with the Commodores.
For sure. Coach, the Duke Blue Devils versus Lehigh. That actually is going to be a good game to watch for sure.
Shout out to the committee for putting that matchup together because hashtag CJ McCollum. Shout out to the committee for putting that one together.
But yeah, the Mountain Hawks, they were actually one of the final teams. It was kind of like last year, like Maryland last year. It was like one of the last teams to get their stamp to the NCAA tournament because they beat Army in the Patriot League, and this will be their 5th time they're going to the Big Dance since 21. Coach Addie, she got Coach of the Year because they won 15 games. They actually were finished with a 12-game win streak. And then they beat Northwestern by 17 this year. So Duke, on the other hand, Maryland again, they got to play them as a non-conference matchup. Coach, former player Kara Lawson, will have her Blue Devils ready to play. And they were number two seed for a reason. In their 5th year, they finished 26 wins. They were 3rd in the ACC. And they won the ACC tournament. So that's the first time since 2013. Coach Lawson preaches defense, and I think as the season's gotten better, the defense has gotten better. Brenden, you talked about you really caught my eye on Toby Fournier.
Fournier, yeah.
Fournier,
I told you so. That's my biggest I told you so I've ever had in women's sports, in sport. I told you this kid is going to be special.
Yes. She got ACC Freshman of the Year because she finished almost with 14 points a game. And
yeah, but look at her defensive stats.
Defensively, yeah, it's OP because they actually were 2nd in the ACC as a cohesive unit in scoring defense, almost allowing under 50 points a game. Ironically, the better team in the ACC defensively was actually the Lady Tar Heels. So bring your head on that stat.
You know what? And then I'll come back with this. Guys, Toby Fournier is the leading scorer for the Duke Blue Devils as a freshman. The Duke Blue Devils, who made it to the Sweet 16 2 years in a row, were a Toby Fournier away from becoming a national contender. And they're at that point now because this kid is special.
For sure. But I'm going to roll with who are you? I'm going to go ask you, who are you picking?
Come on, I'm going with Duke.
I'm going to roll with Duke as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to roll with them as well. We're actually in the Birmingham 3 region. But before we get into that, we're actually going to take a little bit of a commercial break, and we're going to be right back with this song. And we're back, and we're now in the last region of Mark for the women's tournament, and that is Birmingham 3. And we're actually traveling to the city of Austin, and the number 1 seeded Texas Longhorns will actually face the winner of the High Point William and Mary matchup, 16th seeds. Just a little background. on the 16 seeds. William & Mary is another team Maryland faced this year because they automatically qualified for the tournament because led by the coach Dickerson David. They entered the CAA. They with 11 wins. They did finish with 8-10 in their conference, respectfully. And to beat, I know one of the wins was out against North Carolina AT in overtime, and won the championship. So they raced a 14-point deficit to beat Campbell, and they are the 7th team in NCAA history to make a tournament under 500. So for sure, that should be interesting with William & Mary. What are your thoughts? You're muted. Brenden, you're muted. Still can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
All right, my bad. I think it was a problem with my headphones.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going with Texas. Madison Booker, solid player, one of the best in the country, actually. I think she's gonna have a good first round at least. But yeah, I have Texas advancing in this game. They had a really, really good season. They were a tough out for anyone this year. Shout out to them for getting a 1 seed in their first year in the SEC. Yeah, I gotta go with the Texas Longhorns.
My bad. Thank you, Brenden. High Point led this won the Big South tournament, and this is the first matchup since 2021. So I'm gonna pick William & Mary to face Texas. Yeah, and I'm picking Texas to win that game. The next matchup is obviously Illinois versus Creighton. Bro, I'm gonna give you the floor on that one. Go ahead, Brenden.
Creighton in Illinois. That's gonna be a really good one. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I have. I'm pretty sure I have Illinois. Let me check. Sorry, guys.
While he's doing that, I would like to remind everybody that the Fighting Illinois this year returned 4 1,000-point scores, and Maryland had the chance to play against all 4 of them. And without Gretchen Dolan, who's been out, who's been dealing with health issues, hope Gretchen's doing well. Coach Green got Illinois balling this year, and especially winning the NIT. This is definitely a sleeper. But Brenden, go ahead. But I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I picked the Illini. Like you mentioned, 4,000-point scores, and you're not going to get that too often. So no, like you said, their coach has their squad rolling, and it's gonna be a good contest. I'm not denying that, but I think I'm gonna roll with the Illini.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna roll with Illinois too, because the something about Kendall Bosick, Genesis Bryant, Makira Cook, and Adelaide McKenzie. Well, I mean, what also too, Makira Cook hasn't been there as well with injury as well. So I mean, they are a team that you cannot take your foot off the gas because they will find ways. Now, I'm not going to sleep on Crittenden as well, because the Blue Jays, I believe they have 5, 6 seniors. This is their last go around, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, they actually beat Iowa and then Iowa State to get to the Elite Eight. That's been the highlight for them as the most recent. But to win 26 games this year, and I mean, one of those losses was to UConn, of course, and then losing in the Big East tournament by 20. So then losing to UCLA and Kansas State, just wasn't a few to name off. But their offense is something I wouldn't sleep on for sure. It's like a 51% Illinois, 49% Crittenden for me.
No, and it really is. It really is because like I just came up upon this fact on ESPN Tournament Challenge. Number 8 seeds hold a 61-59 edge over number 9 seeds all time. So it's really 50-50. So these, as much as it's slam dunk as these number 1 seeds advancing are for at least one round, it's just as hard to pick. It's just as difficult to pick those 8, 9 seeds, or it's at the same level, but in difficulty to pick those 8, 9 seeds in this tournament, just because they're so close.
Yeah,
they're so evenly matched.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to Tennessee and South Florida. That should be a good game for sure. I'm gonna roll with Tennessee, Lady Vols.
Yeah, me too.
Coach Carwell, she I think has turned this program around, and I think her offense and defense, it's gotten Tennessee to be better. I mean, they're almost averaging over 87 points a game. They forced close to almost 22 turnovers. I'm a huge fan. A couple people have actually gotten me to pay attention to Talasia Cooper, and hey, I think that's definitely a guard who can ball. I actually am a fan of her game for sure, and I think losing the SEC tournament to Vanderbilt did sting. They did get a non-conference win over UConn programs historically, so because they did finish 8th in the SEC. I kind of felt like down the stretch they did get a bit worn down with fatigue, but I think that's any program. But against South Florida, South Florida, I'm a little puzzled with them as a 12th seed. The Bulls, again, they won the ACC tournament. No, the AAC tournament, and they did win 23 games. I mean, they played their non-conference schedule was actually low-key was something to definitely watch. They beat Duke. They did struggle a little bit at some point. They do have their defensive player of the year, Mama Dembele. She's pretty good. I like her. I like the former Florida State guard, Sammy Pusius. So she got she's averaging almost 15 points, I want to say. So definitely she was a sleeper for them. But I'm going to roll with Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Tennessee just because, I mean, they South Florida, it looks like they didn't really, I mean, they've had, looking at their games against tournament teams except UTSA, it looks like they struggled overall, except maybe to Mississippi State. But yeah, Kim Caldwell has done just a fantastic job with that program, and I'm gonna go with Tennessee. Maybe not by 18.5, which is what the spread is, but yeah, I got Tennessee coming out of that game.
18.5. Ooh, okay.
18.5, yeah.
Interesting. All right, we're going to go to the team that Maryland got their revenge on at the end of the regular season, the Ohio State Buckeyes, led by Cody Fingers. No, I'm just kidding. Cody McMahon, shout out to her, who made all first team, and Taylor Theory. Yeah, for sure. The Buckeyes are still a team to respect and not be put past against. They are going against Montana State, who did win 30 games this year. They finished 17-0 the season, and then making them one of the most interesting. Oh, at the beginning they started 17-0, and then the conference play happened. We finished third, and then they did lose to like Maryland, lost to both the UCLA and USC schools. I mean, they both. It's gonna be interesting to see how Cody and Jelani Cambridge will look because they both had injuries in the Big Ten tournament. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they will look for sure. But especially the one thing that is key with the Buckeyes is I call it the cheese press because they will beat you in 3 phases: the press, the press, the press. If they beat you in all 3 phases, especially with their press, you've lost. And because they will force you to turn the ball over, and that's something to definitely watch. This is a sleeper, another one I think that could get as far as the Sweet 16 Elite 8 for sure. The Montana State Bobcats, who actually did pretty well in their Big Sky tournament conference, if I'm saying that correctly, because they actually they beat Montana to win their conference. So this is their second trip in the last 4 years to the NCAA tournament. So, hey, I mean, interesting enough. It's going to be interesting to see how the Bobcats will look. I mean, Mariah Dykstra, she's a good player. And Taylor Sherrick, because she actually leads. No, she's 6th in steals, and ironically, they are the best team with taking the ball away. I want to say it's like almost 15 steals a game. It's not 15, it's 14. I saw that stat somewhere. I was like, ooh, okay. So it's going to be interesting to see how both teams look defensively. But I'm going to give the edge to the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah. Something of note here is I can't remember the name off the top of my head, and I apologize. But Montana State lost their starting shooting guard to a torn ACL I believe in the middle of the season. In the middle of the season or the conference tournament. So that's a big loss for them. But I think the Buckeyes are just too solid of a team to lose this early. That I agree with you. They could go on a run in this tournament. They have the potential to. So I'm gonna roll with the Buckeyes in the first round.
Go ahead to the next one.
The next one. Okay. Michigan, and now we know it's Iowa State. I'm one of those people. I know there's a lot of people who think that Iowa State is the women's version of North Carolina. They have no business being in this tournament, but you got to give them the nod for getting out of the first 4. That's as far as they're going to go, because as much as we talked about this freshman class, I got to talk about 2 more freshmen on Michigan who have just been solid this season: Scylla Swords and Olivia Olson, and they've both been solid pieces for for this Michigan Wolverines team, and I think this next round of 32 is kind of scary because I think for the winner of our next game, Michigan could cause a lot of problems for many favored teams coming up in the tournament, and they're definitely a team that I could see maybe going on a run in the in this tournament, maybe to the Sweet 16, maybe to the Elite Eight. But no, Michigan definitely has the potential to go on a run, and it's because of the production of Stella Swords and Olivia Olson, who've been solid this season.
Well, as seeing Michigan and how we got checked in the Big Ten tournament, not just us, USC as well. Well, I mean, they almost upset USC. You don't know what to expect from Michigan. I actually have to agree with that. I think Michigan they got a good program out there for sure. That's why y'all gonna get from me, because if what we saw in the Big Ten tournament as a whole, if they're all there together, like Sailor Swords, Olivia Olson, Jordan Hobbs, like yeah, it's going to be it's going to be something to watch for sure.
I hope they just come out and beat the crap out of them early, because Iowa State, like Audie Crooks is great, right? Like we all know that. Cameron Brink said it herself. She's going to be a star in this in college basketball and in the WNBA someday. But that's like there are teams where they heavily rely on one player and it works, but Iowa State is not that team. They rely on Audie Crooks, but it does not. The team does not work. And
I agree.
And
they need to have a true five.
Yeah.
And they need to actually start developing a bench, because especially like when Audie goes out, because her right now the only weakness you can say is the liability is her defense. But when you take her out, the Cyclones look totally different as a defense, and they just, I think from last year, I just think because again, defeating Maryland in the first round, I think they're kind of, I wouldn't say lived off that, but I think we kind of put all our chips. I mean, I think we had a little bit too much dip on our chips, and this is not the same Iowa State team. I mean, they were good, but as you saw tonight against Princeton, when Audie goes to the bench, defensely, who else
Princeton
steps up?
Goes on a second quarter run. Princeton goes on a second quarter run. Yeah, exactly.
So that's something to definitely watch. But I'm actually going to pick Michigan for sure.
Yeah.
The luck of the Irish, Notre Dame. Who you got?
Did you look at my bracket name or something? Because that's exactly what my bracket name is called. That's funny. Notre Dame, baby, rolling with the Irish. Most underrated team in this bracket in terms of like they should not be a 3 seed. I get that they had some struggles in when they were the top team, but like this number 1 seed or this number 1 overall ranking for the AP poll, every like after UCLA lost, it seemed like number 1 seed roulette, like number one overall roulette, like it changed like every week, I feel like. So including Notre Dame having it for a couple of weeks and then they struggled. But Notre Dame led by the dynamic duo of Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo,
Yep.
who I had the pleasure of talking to both of them at the ACC tournament. And then Sanaya Citrone, Maddie Westbeld, they just got a solid starting unit. And even their bench is good as well. Coach
Mhm.
Ivy's done a fantastic job for them this season. With the Irish.
I want to focus a little bit on what he talked about Notre Dame. Stephen Austin, the Lady Jacks. They were at one point in the WAC, and now they're in the Southland Conference. They last won in 21, and actually won the tournament as well in 22. So they've been pretty good this year. They won 28 games. Faith Blackstone, someone again who's seen her at Syracuse, she's actually been playing well. I think she's almost averaging 15 a game. They are a good 3-point shooting team, and they're actually in the top 10. I think they're like ninth. I want to say I believe it's ninth in three-point, making almost 9 threes per game from behind the arc. So that should be something be interesting to see. But I'm going to roll with Brenden here. I'm going to pick the luck of the Irish from Notre Dame.
Okay, before we move on, I got a stat for you guys. And bettors, listen up. Number 3 seeds are a perfect 120-0 against number 14 seeds all time. But 17 of those games have been decided by single digits. Notre Dame's favored by 30.5. Bettors, I hope you listened.
That's 30. Wow. Okay.
It was 20. It opened at 27.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm speechless on that one. Louisville versus Nebraska. Louisville, Coach Waltz.
Yeah.
I think they are a respected team in the ACC.
Yeah,
they won 20. They won 21 games. I believe they won 13 conference games. Again, watching them against Duke. They beat Georgia Tech, Cal, and Florida State. They only have Olivia Cochran. She's a 5th-year starter. And to me, I think as the season progressed, they definitely found they got their confidence back, because those losses, particularly the NC State and UConn, especially the NC State loss, I think we lost by 30 something. That was kind of that was something. But and then also too, Jada Curry, I know has been dealing with injuries. So
I know she didn't play in the ACC tournament, which everyone thought they weren't really transparent about that injury.
Yeah, they should have been. It could have been a little bit more transparent for sure.
Yeah, they weren't really transparent about any of the injuries, but I think if Louisville went, because I think they lost to Duke. I think if they had gotten past Duke, I think Jada Curry may have played. I'm sorry. I think did they lose to? No, they did lose to Duke. I'm sorry. No. Anyways, if they had won and gone to the championship, or gone to the semis, then I think that Jada Curry would have played. But it's gonna be very interesting to see if she plays in the first round of this tournament.
I agree. She should be good to go. We'll find out a little bit more, because I think by tomorrow, Friday at the best, each team does their media availability. So I'm pretty sure we'll have updates on her for sure. As far as Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, Alexis Markowski is a cheat code. If y'all think Ayoka Lee, Naughty Crooks are matchup nightmares at times, Alexis Markowski is another one. Because she I actually will leave Lincoln. She's second in rebounding, and it's the all-time leader in double doubles. Because again, a Big Ten team. Just at times, it's just a matchup nightmare. But they are the best 3-point shooting team. But also, too, in the post, if you can't contain Alexis in the post, you got to take one of those things away. They got the scorers, Britt Prince. I believe she was second in scoring, averaging almost 14 a game. Actually led them in assists as well. So you got to take something away from them because they definitely share the sugar, as Clark Kellogg says, because they actually lead. They led the Big Ten in assists because if you get one of the corners in open look, more than likely it's going to go in. I'm actually going to pick Nebraska.
Oh, okay. I get that. I totally get that. Hey, shout out to a couple of people actually. Shout out to Mackenzie Randolph, daughter of Zach Randolph, Portland, former Portland Trailblazer and Memphis Grizzlies legend. She had a couple of big moments in that win against Clemson, that stood out to me. But also for Nebraska, one of my favorite sophomores, Natalie Potts. That can't go wrong with loving a Potts. Shout out to her. I got to meet her and her family last year in Corvallis. She's awesome, and I'm so sad that she's not going to be playing this year because of her torn ACL. I'm looking forward to watching her.
Is she redshirting for next year?
I'm assuming so. I'm assuming so because she got hurt pretty early. I think I remember talking to her mom early into her recovery about her redshirting. But yeah, I assume she is. But yeah, man, that's just so heartbreaking. They would have been that much better with her back on the floor. But I think they would have gotten ranked way higher than a 10 seed. But man, that's such a solid. I don't know who to pick that game either. Come to think of it, like I was sold on Louisville, but I mean, you made a great point with Markowski.
Telling you.
So yeah, it's something I got to think about overnight. I'm glad we have an extra day to pick these games because the men's ones start tomorrow. So
yep,
I'm glad we have an extra day
for sure. And then the last matchup is also in Fort Worth, TCU versus FDU. FDU, the Knights. This is their first NCAA tournament appearance. They won 29 games this year. They did represent their conference, which is the NEC, because Stonehill was who they faced in their championship game. Something about, I don't know, something they were not eligible to qualify for the tournament. I don't know something about reclassifying something. It was weird to explain, but this is another first-time program. Coach Stephanie Gitley, 29 wins. That's more than what they had the previous year. 16 conference wins, and hey, since the loss to Rutgers, they finished the season with the win on a 22-game win streak. So most definitely, FDU for sure is a sleeper on this one. But TCU, the Horned Frogs, led by the one and only Miss Haley Van Lith and Sedona Prince. I really think Coach Campbell, especially because they were actually picked fourth to win the Big 12, and they won 16 conference games. And it's interesting. This was just a year removed from having to forfeit 2 games because of injuries. So this is the first time
They
they're going
tried
to.
out players, guys. Like they
Yeah,
tried out players for other sports to make
that
the
was something.
basketball team. Yeah.
That was something. And this is the first time since 2010, when they were in the Mountain West, actually, that they're going to the big dance. So,
And they were picked to finish last year, by the way, in their conference.
Yeah, because
I'm sorry, they weren't picked. They finished last. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then in the last 4 years, since being in the Big 12, they only won a measly 13 games and lost 59 games. I need that. I need that clip.
Mm-hmm. I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
Yeah. So I'm going to pick TCU. I think I think TCU can definitely sneak in the Sweet 16 for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's their ceiling. Sweet 16 for sure.
Sweet 16. That's is that because of matchups or is that because of potential matchups or?
I think it's gonna be potential matchups.
Okay, because if you're talking their ceiling, I think it's like Elite Eight, maybe Final Four. They're a good ass team.
Yes,
They're
good. It's just they got it together from because they were picked to finish 4th this year, and they only won. They got 31 wins this year.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a program that's bought in. So that's I wouldn't put it past them to get. That's their ceiling, I would say.
Hey man,
because Haley is now reigning Big 12 player of the year and won the tournament. Well, tournament MVP, I should say.
Yeah. No, what I was gonna say was like similar to what you just said about Haley. Like, shout out to Wenatchee's own Haley Van Lith, one of the best high school players in the state of Washington. But like, I feel like, come to think of it, like I feel like her and TCU have a similar comeback story. Like I feel like they have a similar comeback story based on like the last season that they had. Like, you know, everybody kicked Haley Van Lith for joining LSU, and it didn't really work out. And then she comes to TCU, she bets on herself, she wins,
regains her confidence. I think her confidence was taken from
her. Yeah. And her she's gotten her confidence back. And I say that because, and I say that, and I tie it back to what I said earlier about March Madness being for like a player like Lucy Olson. Haley Van Lith's one of those players, guys. Like, people forget how much of a tear she went on in the NCAA tournament when she led Louisville to the Elite Eight and the Final Four, and and it was all because of the grittiness and the competitiveness that she plays with. And I feel like, given like the confidence now that she has her confidence back and she's leading a team, again. Like, I feel like she's about to go on herself. She's about to go on a run in this tournament, and I could see this team going on a bigger run than the Sweet 16, maybe.
For sure, I agree with that. Ladies and gentlemen, that actually it does it for our picks for the bracket. Y'all let me know who your actual winners are. Final Four. I'm gonna say all 4 number 1 seeds get to the Final Four.
Okay. I understand that. Like, I get it.
Well, actually, I'll back up. Three get to the Final Four.
Who's your one? Who's your one that doesn't?
Texas. Texas.
Who was that? You cut off. Oh, Texas.
Nathan, you know good and well, you and Lord. If you guys still had Deja Kelly, I'd say yes.
Hey man, North Carolina's. We said it. North Carolina's a fantastic team that could go on a run.
No, but I think if we actually see, actually, I'll put it this. Let me recanter for the record. This first round, how this first round looks, I think will determine who gets to the Final Four, because there's going to be some upsets.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like, for example, like if you look, okay, random, Duke, Lehigh, Michigan, Iowa State. If you go to the Spokane 4 region, could you scroll up for me?
Sorry.
You're good. You know, you look at
we're good.
California, Mississippi State. You got Liberty, Kentucky, Florida Gulf Coast. Like, you've got some potential upsets in each of these regions.
Right.
Really
no, I know what you mean.
You don't really know until after the first weekend.
Yeah, because I mean, I have a big debatable upset in the Spokane region, and it doesn't really work as well as I wanted to if Kentucky or Kansas State lose in the first round. So
okay.
So if you want me to save that for a new episode, that would
We're gonna save
works
that
for me. But yeah,
We're gonna
okay,
save it.
perfect.
We're gonna save that. We're gonna save it when we get into round 32.
I will give my Final Four though, since you gave your Final Four. My Final Four, I have one number one seed in there. I have one, and so I have one number one seed in the Final Four.
Okay.
I have NC State, UConn.
Okay.
South Carolina is my one seed. And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
So you got a
Those
1
are my
seed.
Final Four, and
you got a 1 seed. You got a 3 seed.
And two seeds.
2 seeds.
Yeah. And I've had that Final Four. For reference, I've had that Final Four even before the bracket was announced.
I'm going to say in the Birmingham 2 region. And no, I'm not going to. It's not Maryland. It could be Maryland. But scroll over for me, Brenden.
Birmingham 2?
Yes. I'm just letting y'all know right now, in this bracket, there's going to be an upset. There will be an upset. I see it. Because this region, Birmingham 2, low key, is like that's a bloodbath. Because no matter how you look at it, you're playing the road to the Final Four, Sweet 16 for a couple teams is light work, but yeah, that region, that's the region that's going to be the one to watch for sure.
I definitely can see that. I really think either the Columbia Washington or that Oregon State game is going to could potentially cause a lot of chaos. I hope nobody had their ears open when they heard that one, but no, I am previewing this a little too early, but I said it a little bit ago. I have Notre Dame in the Final Four, but that matchup against Michigan makes me so nervous because, like I said earlier, Michigan's a tough team, and they, I feel like, are going to have a hard time hanging with Notre Dame, but I feel like they're going to do a much better job than people think they initially are.
I agree with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So that one makes me nervous.
Okay. We're going to transition, ladies and gentlemen, into one final thought.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I took some time to find a minute or two to organize them.
Okay, so for my one final thought, I said in the beginning of the episode that regarding the University of Maryland women's basketball team. So I've been covering Maryland. This is season 2.5, really season 3-ish. But more importantly, this is my second time. Well, this is my third NCAA tournament coverage. Last year kind of ended abruptly with Iowa State. I came in when we still had Diamond and we lost to South Carolina. That after that transfer with Abby Myers and all those girls, shout out to them. But this year, I'm grateful for the opportunity to cover the Maryland women's basketball team this weekend as they play Norfolk State and then potentially Alabama, the first two games. I'll be covering them for via MarylandSportsBlog.com. I'm grateful for the opportunity to cover them mostly all season. It has been a season, but I am grateful that I'm able to do that. I'm super stoked for the opportunity. And I think doing it at home, I think kind of is a surreal moment. So I just would like to send my thanks for those that do the credential approval. So thank you for the opportunity for that. I'm super stoked for this upcoming Saturday. They do have something Friday, but I will not be in attendance for it. It's the media thing, and I have some other priorities that I have to get done. I have a dentist appointment, so got to get the teeth taken care of for sure. So I will not be there Friday, but Saturday. The Serengeti is coming to College Park. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I'm grateful for the opportunity to cover this team, potentially a couple more games. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. Brenden, you got one final thought?
Yeah, that's first of all, that's awesome, man. I'm so proud of you, and you're awesome. We're both covering the tournament this year. That's so cool. This is so cool. But no, shout out to you.
Thank you.
Way less of a meaningful final thought than I think I've ever given, and definitely what you've given. Since we've had our conversation, after we've had our conversation, I have since changed my pick for Louisville, Nebraska to pick them with the Cornhuskers. I told you it's less of a meaningful final thought, but I have since changed my pick to go with the Nebraska Cornhuskers to advance into the round of 32. That's my final thought. I'm sticking to it. Hey, shout out to everybody who stayed up late with us. Like it's
for sure.
It's
1:30.
Yeah, it's 10:30 from where I'm from. Dude, I'm still adjusting to Pacific Standard Time after being Eastern Time for a week. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, so you give yourself about a week and you'll be okay. It takes a week.
Oh yeah, it takes about a week. Yeah, I'm about that point. I'm about at that point, dude.
For sure.
But
yeah. But I appreciate the 41 viewers that have been rocking with us for the last 1 hour and 53 minutes. It's much appreciated. We're definitely going to do some more of this each round. But this is, again, I think just a testament to putting due diligence and efforts into something that I think we both have an appreciation for and respect in crafting. But there's also others too in the community that I think really, push you and strive to see the game grow on both sides of the men and women's game, both. And this women's tournament, like I said, you got some Cinderellas that have not even made an NCAA tournament. But you got to kind of, these are opportunities to tell stories. And, also too, there's some players, you may not see, whether they go to the WNBA, whatever they do respectfully with their lives. This is why you take moments in like this for the NCAA tournament. So appreciate that, Sean. Hey, we appreciate you tuning in. But also too, we learn off each other, because Brenden, he knows all the West Coast teams, especially since he's on the Oregon region. Me obviously with the Big Ten. Oh my gosh.
Hey man, Coach Banghart would look good in a glass slipper. I'm just letting you guys know.
Oh my goodness. But also too, early this evening, shout out to Team NBS Media. I actually hosted my very first show, the NFL Free Agent Frenzy episode. We were talking about NFL free agents. That was interesting. I had a great conversation with those guys. Shout out to Randall, Joe, and Steve. Thank you for the opportunity, Joe, for allowing me to host that, and hopefully to do it again sometime down the stretch. We got a couple more episodes for the podcast. I will talk about the men's tournament and got to preview Maryland men's and women's basketball before Friday and Saturday in the NFL mock draft. We did have a WNBA trade. Let's just go ahead and get out the way, Brenden. Natasha Cloud is going to the New York Liberty. Just give me like a grade. How do you like it?
A for the Liberty. I don't even know for the Sun. I don't even know. Like probably a C or a C minus. I don't even know for the Sun, but like an A for the Liberty. They finally got a point guard. They finally got a solid point guard. That's gonna work so well with Sabrina. I can't remember who I saw it from. I saw the statistic that I think it was.
I got you, Sean.
I think it was.
I'll hit you for the
Miles.
details.
I think it was from Miles or someone who heavily covers the Liberty, but Sabrina and Natasha Cloud were the leaders in assists last year for the Liberty, for the WNBA, and now they're on the same team. So that's, I mean, it just makes this Liberty even scarier. I do have caution about, and I do have a little bit of worry that now the Liberty have a solid point guard, but they haven't re-signed Jalen Sherrod. I don't know how much I'm reading into that, or like how much I'm reading into that, but
they haven't signed Phoebus, and Stewie hasn't been signed yet.
Yeah. But I mean, they're solid starters. Jalen Sherrod, I mean, barely made the roster throughout the entire year. If you haven't read my story about her, please do. Little selfless plug.
Your link's already in the description, buddy. I got you.
Perfect. That was a great story in all seriousness. But that causes me a little bit of worry. But again, not too much, but a solid move for the Liberty nonetheless.
Yeah, they got Natasha Cloud, New York Liberty, and then the Connecticut Sun get New York's first round pick for this year, and they get a pick swap for next year. You got 2 first round picks. I'm not going to lie. You're resetting, you're retooling for the future, and
I think watching a lot of this NCAA tournament.
Well, I'm not going to go as far as that, but I think Morgan Tuck she has a good plan, and let's keep it real. Like, I just look at it like, could you just get through this season? Because she was going to be a free agent after this year. They're all going to be free agents. Mm-hmm. So it's like, can we just, I get it. But they get their point guard, and it should be interesting to see how the New York Liberty look. But that's going to conclude this episode, ladies and gentlemen. It is with your host, Nathan Snell, the Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Brenden, I appreciate you as always. We'll talk soon for the next round, the round of 32. And you'll catch us, our teams, and our coverage of the NCAA tournament for the women's side, respectfully. definitely tap into that. Definitely tap in for that. There's some other great people in the community. Definitely check them out as well. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, March Madness is officially underway. Please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content, and we'll talk soon. Have a good night. And actually, go Terrapins.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.